Ciryl Gane will be filming his new movie, Gone in 60 Seconds, Chicken Run 3 in July, and has officially turned down a fight against Tom Aspinall at UFC 304. Surprise. And this is not the first time that Gane ducks an opponent because, he was offered fights against Curtis Blades. He was offered a fight against Tom Aspinall. He was offered a fight against Sergey Pavlovich, and he's turned down all of these opponents. And if you don't believe so, if you're still a believer in Gane, if you think that, oh man, he will never turn down a fight, then go back and rewatch his interview with Ariel Helwani last September after he beat Sergey Spivak. He blatantly came out and said that he did not want to fight, Sergey Pavlovich or Aspinall because he thought they were bad stylistic matchups and that he only wants to fight for the title. This entitled motherfucker who's 0-2 in title shots, who fumbled his fight against Jon Jones and got submitted in less than 3 minutes, thinks that he should get one win and then be back in the title picture. This guy is absolutely pathetic. And I'll tell you guys what. The reason why I think Ciryl Gane turned down those fights against Pavlovich, against Aspinall, after he beat Sergey Spivak, is because he was so fucking delusional that he thought in his stupid little mind, in his little brain of his, this is what he thought. Jon Jones and Stipe, they're fighting in November. I just beat Sergey Spivak. The winner of Jon Jones and Stipe, they're going to retire. Both of them are going to retire. I'm going to fight for the vacant belt. And I'm going to be granted another title shot. I bet that's what he thought. Or he also thought, you know what? If Jon Jones wins, I want another shot at Jon Jones. Which is absolutely pathetic. The fact that Ciryl Gane thinks that he could get one win over Sergey Spivak and be back in the title picture is absolutely insane. And before you guys start typing down below, oh well, Tom Aspinall didn't deserve a title shot. Yeah, you're right. He did not deserve a title shot. He fought Marcin Tybura, and who did Tom Aspinall call out? He called out Ciryl Gane. Even went to UFC Paris, and Ciryl Gane wanted nothing to do with Aspinall. Now, the reason why Aspinall got a title shot opportunity was because the Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic fight fell through, right? Jon Jones got injured. Sergey Pavlovich was already the backup opponent, and they needed an opponent on short notice to fight Pavlovich, who is a scary Russian who was coming off back-to-back first-round knockouts. And Tom Aspinall had the balls to step in on short notice and was able to defeat Sergey Pavlovich and win the interim belt. Whole different context, whole different situation than Ciryl Gane. Tom Aspinall absolutely deserves to be the champion of the division. When he beat Marcin Tybura, he was not calling for a title shot. He was calling for Ciryl Gane, who was coming off a loss to Jon Jones. But Ciryl Gane doesn't have the same awareness. And maybe it's not him. Maybe it's his manager. Let's assume it's his manager. Then you need to get a better manager. Because if your manager is turning down fights with Aspinall, with Pavlovich, with Curtis Blades, you know what that says? It means that your manager doesn't truly believe in you. That he truly doesn't believe in your ability. That your coaches don't really believe in you. They probably don't believe in your work ethic. And Ciryl Gane, he kind of gives me the impression that he's one of those people that is very athletically gifted. He doesn't really have to try hard for things. He's very successful naturally. And that's fine, man. He was able to get far in the heavyweight division because he's so naturally talented. And he's such a decent striker. He's so fast compared to the rest of the heavyweights. But I really don't believe that he has a great work ethic. I really do not believe so. And instead of taking the loss to Jon Jones and saying, you know what? I'm not ready. I need to improve my grappling. I need to improve my jiu-jitsu. Let me go train with other fighters in the United States. Let me go with different coaches so they could teach me grappling, so they could teach me jiu-jitsu. What does he do? He stays in France and he becomes complacent. And how do I know he's complacent? I'll tell you how I know he's complacent. Well, the guy just fought Sergey Spivak at UFC Paris last September. He took absolutely no damage. And he thinks that he should wait one whole year to fight again at UFC Paris in his home territory again. Like he's basically taking a year off after taking zero damage against John Jones, because he really didn't take any damage against Jones. And then he took no damage against Sergey Spivak. And he doesn't even want to fight in between then. He only wants to fight at UFC Paris. And then the man has the audacity to call out Tom Aspinall on Twitter and say that they should fight for the title at UFC fucking Paris. What kind of leverage do you think you have, Ciryl Gane? You have absolutely no leverage. You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to this company. And the fact that you're even getting another opportunity to fight Tom Aspinall at UFC 304 is crazy. And the fact that he might be turning it down is even more insane. You know, you should be grateful that the UFC is even giving you the opportunity to fight for another title at UFC 304. When in my opinion, you still need 2 more wins. You probably need a win over Jelton Almeida. You need a win over Curtis Blades. And why do you need a win over those guys in my opinion? Because your grappling sucks. Your wrestling is terrible. You couldn't even survive with John Jones for 3 minutes. A John Jones who hadn't fought in 3 years, had never fought in the heavyweight division, and was coming off a controversial decision to Dominic Reyes. You couldn't really even stand with that guy for 5 fucking minutes. What does that say about your MMA ability? And like I said, I think Ciryl Gane is a very talented fighter. I think he's a guy that learns things very quickly, who is naturally good at things, which is great, especially if you're in the heavyweight division where the skill is not as deep. But you gotta stop turning down fucking fights, man. You have to stop. And there's no way this guy has any fans anymore, especially if it's true that he's turning down another fight against Tom Aspinall, which is technically for the title. And technically he said he wasn't going to turn down any more fights if he was going to be fighting for the title. And like, I understand, man. He fought Francis Ngannou. It was a very close fight. I gave the fight to Gane. You know, it was a very close fight. Then he comes back in September, fights Tai Tuivasa, who was on a 4-fight winning streak, and puts an incredible performance over Tai Tuivasa, and then got another opportunity to fight for the title, for the vacant title, against John Jones. And if you guys remember at the time, nobody was complaining about Ciryl Gane getting a title shot against John Jones. Why? Because he had a very close fight against Francis Ngannou, because we knew he was like at least the second or even the best heavyweight currently available. And nobody was mad. Nobody was mad. But now, you know, you fought John Jones. You were given another opportunity to fight for the title. You lost. You lost in the first round. It wasn't a close fight. It's not like, you know what? Gane had a very close fight against John Jones. I understand why they might give him another title shot opportunity against Tom Aspinall, you know? That's a big test for Tom Aspinall. No! Ciryl Gane got submitted by John Jones in 3 minutes. I want to say 2 minutes, actually. I think it was 2 minutes. Which is insane. It was not a competitive matchup whatsoever. So the fact that he's even getting another title shot opportunity, he should be happy about that. He should take it. Even if it's not in his home territory, even if it's not in his home country. Why? Because you have no leverage. You have no fucking leverage. I don't know who you think you are. You might be the shit in Paris, in France. Good for you. But if you want to be the best in the world, if you really want to be the best fighter in the UFC in the world, then you have to fight the best. And you don't pick and choose your opponents. That's exactly what the UFC fucking hates. And this is one of the few times, in my opinion, where the UFC should stand like their ground and say, you know what, Ciryl Gane? You're turning down fights? Fuck you. You think filming a fucking movie is more important than fighting for the interim belt and becoming potentially the champion of the world? Because if you fight Tom Aspinall and you beat him, people are going to see you as a champion, man. Especially if you show improvements in your grappling. You know, if you let's say you beat Tom Aspinall and then John Jones comes back and, you know, John Jones beats Stipe and you have a very impressive performance over Tom Aspinall, yeah, I could see a situation where John Jones is less likely to stay around and fight, but at least you would redeem yourself in the eyes of the fans, in your own eyes as well, because I'm sure you want to get that loss back. I'm sure that loss to John Jones doesn't feel very good, especially since it was so easy for John Jones to beat you. But he needs to stop. He needs to fucking stop and take this fight against Aspinall. And I honestly prefer a fight between Alex Pereira and Tom Aspinall. I prefer that fight. I think Pereira deserves it more. Because Ciryl Gane has one win. Even Curtis Blades, like before that, he had lost to Sergey Pavlovich. I understand that the reason why they might give it to Curtis Blades is because they have unfinished business. Because Tom Aspinall got injured the first time they fought. But if I'm being honest, I much prefer Alex Pereira fighting for the heavyweight title in July than both of these guys. Especially Ciryl Gane. Especially before Ciryl Gane. Because Ciryl Gane, you know, he's trying to pull a Colby Covington where you get one win and then you want to be back in the title picture. And at least Colby Covington, say what you want, but he had a very close fight against Kamaru Usman. And at least he's a bit entertaining on the mic, even though I think he's a bit cringe. At least he tries to play a character and he tries to, I guess, be entertaining. While Ciryl Gane, you know, he's been behind the scenes, hiding in Paris, you know, having fun with his fame and all that stuff. Is this truly a fighter who's hungry? Is this truly a fighter who wants to fight for the belt? Who wants to be a champion? Who wants to improve his skills? Absolutely not. And the fact that he's still training at that same old gym in Paris tells you everything you need to know about Ciryl Gane. He's a very complacent fighter. He's lucky he's naturally gifted. If he was fighting in any other UFC division, if he was fighting in the flyweight division, in the featherweight division, he wouldn't even be fucking ranked, probably. He wouldn't even be fucking ranked. He would be cut from the UFC and sent to the PFL. But because he's so naturally gifted and he's in the heavyweight division that is not that deep, he's able to get far. But it needs to stop. It needs to fucking stop. And if it's true that he's even been offered the fight, accept it, bro. Accept it. It's your last opportunity. It's truly your last opportunity. And you don't call the shots. You can't just sit around and think, oh man, I'm going to get my title shot at UFC Paris. Nah, fuck you. What kind of leverage do you have? Absolutely nothing.